Lights up, mic on. Time to meet the minds behind the magic. This is Know Your Dev. Let the story begin. Yo, yo, dev, yo, 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 dev. Know your dev, know your dev. Let the world see who they are. Know your dev, know your dev. Every builder is a star. Step inside the show. Where the big ideas grow. Know your dad, know your dad. Let's go, let's go. Beat drops, hearts pop, here's the moment we start. Where creators share the map of how they follow their heart. From a spark to a plan, from the plan to the code. Every dev has a journey, every journey has a road. We explore, we adore, bringing stories to light. Let the kids and the dreamers feel the power tonight. It's the show where imagination meets the truth they tell. Welcome in, grab a seat, this is Know Your Dad. Let the world see who they are. Know your dad, know your dad. Every builder is a star. Step inside the show. Show me where the big ideas grow. Know your dad, know your dad. Come on, let's go. Yo, let's go. Old school rhythm with a big cartoon grin. Every Sunday we unlock where the legends begin. We ask how, we ask why, we uncover the climb. From the first tiny sketch to the moment it shines. Kids listening at home get inspired for real. To create, to imagine, to invent what they feel. Cause the future gets built by the dreamers who dare. And on KYD, every dream gets shared. No, 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 know your dad, know your dad. Let the world see who they are. Know your dad, know your dad. Every builder is a star. Step inside the show. Where the big ideas grow. Know your dad, know your dad. Let's go, let's go.
Great morning, beautiful people of the Ledger. How the hell are you doing today?
Excellent.
Let's go. Welcome to another episode of KYD Know Your Dev, where we take the time to slow things down and actually get to know the builders in the ecosystem. Because in crypto, it is easy to get lost in the charts and the hype, the token. 1 second, I didn't click my camera. But in reality, what matters is the people behind the project. So today we have someone that many of you already probably know from the timeline, from other spaces. Our guest today is Optimistic Prime. This is not a hype space. This is not a chill space. This is where we learn who the builder is, where they came from, what drives them, and what they're actually building for the future. So if you're in the audience, feel free to repost the space and bring some friends in. The more people that can learn about the builders in this ecosystem, the stronger our community becomes. All right, so let's get right into it. Optimistic Prime, welcome to KYD.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Honored to be here.
Beautiful, beautiful. You want to jump right in? I see. So let's let's go ahead and start from the beginning. Who is Optimistic Prime?
Oh, that's a charged question. Well,
Well, let me uncharge it a little bit. Who is
okay.
Optimistic Prime outside of crypto?
Well, my name's Amanda Jones, and Amanda Jones Archer. And I have three children who are probably going to wake up while I'm chatting. So heads up on that. All under the age of 9, 9, 8, and 6. And I live on a school bus with my husband, my three kids, my dog, and my cat. And My background is pretty extensive. My first degree was international development, political economy, and administrative change. I was basically, I had a dream of changing the world. And I was, I thought I ended up working for the UN or, I learned a lot about what was going on in the world in 2000. I was in university from 2001 to 2006. And so I was learning about, NAFTA and GATT and the IMF and the WEF and all the things. So that was my first degree. And then I took some time away, traveled the world, lived in Zimbabwe for a little while, lived in South Korea for a year. And then I went back to school in 2009 for 10 for nursing. And then I got 7 out of 8 semesters for my Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Again, wanted to change the world. And then towards the end of my degree, I basically had this like moment realizing that it wasn't going to make me happy. And I had this sort of, I would say, God said, the life that you're looking for is looking for you, and this is not the way, and you have to be willing to let it go to get it. So when they told me I asked too many questions in nursing school and a whole bunch of other things happened, I decided to step away. I was only supposed to be for a semester, but I never went back. And 2 weeks later, I met my husband in a coffee shop. And 3 months later, we fell in love. And yeah, we've been on this crazy adventure for almost 13 years now. And we set out into the Mystic with our school bus in 2018, and our bus is called Optimistic Prime. That's why I'm called Optimistic Prime. So we drove across the country searching for warmer pastures and a new adventure with our 5-month-old and our 1-year-old. And we made it to Vancouver Island, and we've been living on the school bus ever since. And then we had Jimmy when we got here. And so, yeah, that's sort of the quick summary. The reason why I ended up on Vancouver Island is my biological father had lived here my whole life, and I met him when I was 32. And so as soon as I met him, it sort of removed the fear of coming here, and I'd always wanted to come to the island. So I'm here living out my dream. 8 years on a bus is a lot longer than we expected, but it affords me the opportunity to build. And that's why I'm here. It's because I've been building on I've been building my humanitarian project since 2020, and I've been building on blockchain since 2021. First on Stellar, and then on XRPL in 2023.
Wow, that was a lot to unpack. Wow, that's amazing. So, you know what? I want to kind of let you know. I want a little back and forward with you in regards to all of it, right? But I want you to slow down a little bit more. Remember, we want to capture your essence so other people can actually do the same. Whenever you do it this fast, I get lost because there's a lot of details in between that are missing. So, well, let's go with the first question. Where are you originally from? You mentioned Canada.
Yeah, I was born in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. Moved to the Ottawa Valley, which is Ottawa is the capital of Canada. Moved there when I was in grade 6 to live with my stepdad, who had built a log house on 100 acres in the 70s. So I went from like, city apartment, single mom life to family in the bush, which was quite the adjustment. And then I spent a year in Japan when I was 16 years old, did a couple exchange programs, one to France, one to Japan in high school, which really changed me, obviously. And then I went to university in Guelph, Ontario. That was my first degree I mentioned. And then yeah, traveled, like I said, went back to Toronto, and ended up meeting James in Bob Cajun, which is actually part of the story, which is fun because in Canada we have a song called Bob Cajun, by this pretty epic Canadian band. And there's a line in the song that says, "Where the constellations reveal themselves one star at a time." So it's pretty cool. I met my husband in Bob Cajun. And that was the last place I lived in Ontario until I moved to Vancouver Island, British Columbia. And that's where I live now.
Okay. That's good. All right, I like that better. Now, one quick question: what were you doing before actual crypto entered your life? Like, walk me through that experience when you first encountered crypto. What was your immediate thoughts on crypto, and then what do you do soon after?
Well, honestly, when I first met James, his best friend was into Bitcoin. And he, about, I don't know, like a year or two after I had met him. So I met him in 2013. So probably like, yeah, 2014, 15. He was actually cashing out. And I was like, can you please teach me how to do this? Like, can I please buy Bitcoin? Like, please tell me how. And he wouldn't teach me.
So wait a
And
second. So you're telling me you stayed instead of walking away like many people do?
well, yeah, I mean, like, I just was so fascinated with the technology, and because I knew so much about what was happening in the world, I mean, I was always really interested in stocks, and I was so curious. Like, it was when I was in grade 6, we did a course on stocks, and I really enjoyed it. And so I always thought I'd be really good at, like, you know, doing that kind of stuff. But because of the limitations, the technology, it was pretty hard to, like, even find information. I mean, I remember when I finally came back to it in 2020, when I learned about, Wealth Simple and, like, the different avenues that you could actually get involved, and made it easier for people to get involved with stocks or into crypto. I was so excited because I just didn't have anybody in my life that was, into any of these things, into finances at all. And so the more they've made it easier, the more I've been curious about it. Of course, I've had my hesitations being a truther and all, and knowing, like, how the systems work forever. But as soon as I learned about it, I was like, "Ooh, this might give the little guy a chance." That's really what drew me into crypto in general. Is that I thought wisdom is power, and maybe, just maybe, the little guy would have a chance of making it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. That's pretty cool. I mean, the experience of actually that's kind of like a little bit of my story where I found out about Bitcoin and I wanted to know all about it right away. But so many people I meet, they usually the story is they heard about it, they thought it was internet money, and they walked away from that. So it's quite remarkable that you can actually see, and obviously through your life experience and knowing what was going on in the world, that actually caught your attention. So that's pretty good. So I'm kind of surprised that went that way. Now, obviously, XRPL is our chain. XRP love is what we coined the term to be. When do you actually became aware of XRPL? When they catch your attention?
Yeah. Well, in 2020, when I, pardon me, in 2020 when I started building the Wandering Footprint, and then the apocalypse hit, as I fondly refer to it as, the revealing of the light, hit in 2020, and I started shifting over to the internet. When I learned about ISO 20022 compliance, or not, compatibility, as Mr. Mann says. I think that's a much better word. I was really curious just about what was faster and what was uh, cheaper. And so XRP popped up at that point. I originally started building on Stellar because the original story I had heard is that
Wait,
XRP
wait,
would
wait,
be,
wait, 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 wait. Please
yep,
take me back a little bit.
yep.
Where was that moment where you said, or where you realized, hey, I'm not just a user, I want to actually build here? What was that like?
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, the first crypto I got was when all that went down and I heard about GameStop and stuff. And I was like, "Ooh, this is an opportunity," because there were people teaching you how to do this, right? So all of a sudden, I had access to knowledge and information. And so um I decided to, put $100 in and see what would happen with that. And then, I mean, I was building the Wandering Footprint. So in 2019, I had this idea of creating a tiny home shiny show here on the island, sort of to bridge this gap between the wanderers, the nomads, the people like me who had done everything right, quote unquote, who had followed all the rules, who had gotten 90s, who had, done the schooling thing, and had sort of decided that it didn't make me happy. And the regular folk who lived, who owned farms and were in communities. So um when that sort of fell apart, because it was like an in-person event, I started looking at, like, what was possible. And as the information around blockchain grew, I just started imagining if I could use this technology for the people and integrate it into this shift that I was doing from in person to online, maybe I could create the thing that had been in my head for 20 years. You know, the reason that the feeling that I had going into international development, you know, the feeling I had going to Japan and France and you know, learning about history and learning about the people and the organizations that run the world. Um, I just thought maybe just maybe I had a chance. And so when I learned that, like, you know, XLM and XRP were cheap and fast, and that somebody like me who didn't have a lot of money, who just had a dream, could, you know, learn how to make a token, I decided to make a token and see what happened. And I've
So
been making tokens ever since.
okay, so you have experience in making other tokens. So when you started building, you immediately went into because you mentioned the wandering footprints, and then after that you went ahead and went for a token. But from when I know you, I've seen you as contributing to other projects, right? It wasn't more of a I have a project and this is what I offer. You're actually a contributor. You know, whenever you first enter my world, basically. And since you started that token, or since you started your project, what actual problem were you trying to solve in the ledger? Because
Well,
as you
I
mentioned,
mean,
you
yeah.
didn't come from a full like let's say a developer mindset or a technical background. You know, you got interest, you started learning about it. You know, soon after you met your husband. So or did you learn as you go on, or how was that transition into builder?
Yeah, well, like I said, so I learned about Bitcoin in 2013, but I didn't get to figure out how to put money into crypto till 2020. And then it was 2020 when everything was shut down and I decided to move this vision I had of the shiny show, tiny home shiny show onto the internet. I started imagining, well, that's turned into an app. So I built this app called the Wandering Home Directory. And I was watching how Bitcoin was moving, how Ethereum was moving. I was part of a lot of different groups that have all collapsed. But I was part of a lot of different groups that were trying out DAOs and tokens on Ethereum. And so I was sort of in the periphery of ecosystems that were attempting to use digital assets to support their ecosystems. So it was sort of like the transition into that. For me, it was about, like, I was trying to create this marketplace. I was trying to create the yellow pages for New Earth, is basically what I called it. And it used to be called the Tiny Home App Directory, now called the Wandering Home Directory. And essentially, I just could see in my mind. I mean, honestly, Uga Tiger, I think it was God. You know, God was like, "You do this now," and I was like, and so I was just constantly trying to, like, solve the problem of my own mind. And that was, can I create a marketplace with an internal token? Is that possible for somebody like me who doesn't want to take money from anybody, who doesn't want to be, you know, more in debt, who just has a dream of, like, you know, if it all works out in the end, what does that look like? That was the question I asked. And can I leverage this shift in technology, because I'm a truther, right? Like, we haven't really touched on that, but I'm a truther. And so I had sort of come to this conclusion that I was all nefarious, right? Like, that's for my first degree and my second degree, that I just had decided that the world was bad and that all the people in charge were bad. And so for me, you know, this evolution has been like, okay, well, if not me, who? And you know, that the little guy, there's so many more of the good people on the planet. You know, is there a possibility of us being able to create an avenue for us to thrive in an ecosystem that's designed for, you know, just the sort of perpetuation of all the things that I had come to see in the control mechanisms and in the power structures of the world. So
Yeah,
I wasn't necessarily trying to find something to, like, fix on the ledger. I was actually trying to use the technology to create a door, what I fondly refer to now as door number 3, if that makes sense.
Okay. Well, one thing, right? So, since you actually went that route and you understood what you wanted to do early on, obviously, you were not, in a sense, offering a product per se, or offering a solution to something specific. You more wanted to kind of bring awareness to certain things. Is that kind of on the right track? And if
Well, my
so,
solution was more in a real world aspect. How
yeah,
could I empower the people? How could I help the people, um, you know, manage what I saw coming, manage this financial collapse, and create different avenues for them. Like, because in my mind's eye, everybody is waiting for their retirement, and everybody's sort of waiting to live. And my mom died at 55 when I was 20. And so it became very clear to me that sometimes you don't make it to retirement, and that everybody deserves to live a life full of adventure and the things that they love, and that the environment that we live in was not conducive to that. So
yeah,
this I was trying to solve the sort of real world issue that everybody's traumatized, nobody's able to follow their passions, and I believe, because of my background, healing happens when you feel safe. So the question I was trying to solve is, how can I create an environment that people feel safe, where they can pursue the things they love and they dream of, and can I support that in a way financially, and could I leverage the blockchain, and this technology, to make that happen? And so, my entire infrastructure is, I have different tokens for different things in my imagination, and I'm going through the sort of constant questions, looking for the people with the answers. Is essentially what the past 6 years have been like for me.
yeah. So, in your words, right? What do you think the hardest part of building in Web3 could be, or is, that people actually don't see? Those that are just observers. And also, I don't know if I'm going to quote this correctly, but there's a point in life where you realize that you can only lead a horse to the water, but you don't actually make them drink. In your case, what you have obviously has a lot of attention, but also, in the other hand, it has a lot of people that are in the matrix, that they're not going to see what you see. How do you make them drink that water?
Well, exactly that. I mean, I think people only change when they feel inspired. And I mean, the transition into crypto was quite interesting, because my community, the tiny home people, were not aligned with sort of how I was feeling about what was happening in the world.
Yeah,
And so I had to sort of pull back and realize that, I basically was on a search for my audience, like for the people. And I think for me, where I'm at right now, and rebuilding the app, and having this incredible foundation of XRPL community, like, that's really my foundation. But the 8 original people of the Wandering Footprint, the 8 original members, there's 5, 6 of them who had no idea about crypto. And so, that's actually one of the things I've been working on, is how to create avenues through the infrastructure that I've been creating, in order to sort of encourage people to learn about wallets, and learn about tokens, and learn about trust lines, and figure out how to put money on their wallet, purchase the crypto, and then purchase my token. And so that's sort of like how I've been doing it, is just creating things in my infrastructure on the blockchain, so that people have another avenue in, and being somebody trustworthy that people can call and be like, all right, I can't figure this out, like, how do I do that? And then them having support in figuring out. We've gone through a
yeah,
lot of different things. Like, when I first started Stellar, you could actually go to any post office in Canada, and they were connected to MoneyGram, and you could directly put money onto your lobster wallet. And they got rid of that about, I guess, 2 years ago now. And so, we've gone through so many transitions. And I'm just there to sort of be uh, somebody to trust that, like, hey, I can't figure this out. Do you have a solution? And if I don't have the solution, knowing people that I can reach out to for that solution. And so ultimately I'm creating something that makes it gives people curiosity that hopefully brings them over and empowers them into the crypto sphere. If that answers your
Yeah.
question.
Yeah, yeah, it did. It did. So now, through your experience after, building for X amount of years, what is something that you think the community misunderstands about builders? And also, from a builder perspective as well, how do you think, how important it is for somebody to actually know the security risks involved whenever they're actually entering into crypto? So many people have lost their wallets and their funds. There's no way to revert a transaction. How do you think, as a builder, that responsibility lies on the builders, basically? And if you're looking for a community, is that something that you actually bring up to the table to those people to kind of be aware of what's actually the risk associated with what you're asking them to learn about?
Yeah, well, honestly, I mean, it's a pretty charged question because it's the thing that I was most afraid of building too, right? Like just my own wallets and keeping the vision safe. And then you bring up this security in general. I mean, in so many aspects, it is scary. Like on TikTok, I have like 20 different imposters, and it was always I was so afraid to build because I was worried that people would be led astray. And but that's part of the learning curve. And I've been running in, like, how the question was, how big a responsibility is that for the builders? Well, ironically, this week I ran into one of these dilemmas. And I've been sort of MIA for the past week, sort of processing new information about sort of my plan, and running into potential, I guess they, easiest headwinds, I suppose, and having to sort of pivot around regulation. I think, sort of to go back to your last question, what's the hardest thing that people don't see? The lack of clarity when you're building,
Yeah,
um wanting to be a good girl, wanting to be responsible, but also recognizing that the entire system is flawed, but then also wanting to be in compliance so that I'm legitimate. And so being as transparent as possible through this whole journey so that as clarity comes in and as different infrastructure comes in, I can say, like, I did my best with as limited information as I had. I think it's a huge responsibility. And it is scary to encourage people to go into the wild, wild west of this infrastructure. But I mean, for me, it comes down, like, one of the taglines for the Wandering Footprint is autonomy, sovereignty, and choice. And a lot of people don't even know what those words mean, what sovereignty means. And it's really hard for people to embrace ownership and control. They we're very trained in giving up our power to other people, you know? And
yeah,
so I think that a lot of this shift is the empowering an individual to recognize that they are the most trustworthy person themselves, and
yeah,
that giving away their money to the banks is, in their minds, the safest place. But in my mind, it is not necessarily, because of what's happening around the world with inflation and the history of money in general. My husband's been saying since I met him, like, fiat is a Ponzi scheme. And then in the past 5 years, so many people are saying it. I was like, Jamie, everybody's saying the same thing you said for years. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
yeah, that did. And I actually wanted to add, because you mentioned it. I mean, it's on your project, the sovereignty part. I think that's definitely a charged statement, and not only that, it's such an what are you a powerful word, but like you said, most people either don't know it, don't know what it means, and those that do know what it means, they might not know what the implications are, and those that do know the implication, maybe they choose to actually go the easy route because of all the responsibility that comes with that. And honestly, in this first world country that I live in, United States, most people don't really want that, right? Because they're okay with other people actually handling everything for them. But whenever you want to become your own person, whenever you want to own your own, what do you call it, self, then that's when sovereignty comes in. And I learned a little bit about that through this guy that we both know, King Bao. And I was able to do some of the right things to get to that place. But once you start digging into that and go a little bit deeper, it actually motivates you to continue to go. But you actually have to want it, right? Because it's not something that you can switch on and off. It's either you're going to be sovereignty, you actually going to do this, or you're probably not going to do it at all and continue to live your life and let others control everything you do. But the fact that, I mean, to me, that you're an inspiration, and the fact that you actually decided to move away as much as you could from society, and actually you're living your, for you, not a great life, but in my eyes, it's like your best life because you're on a bus somewhere where you can actually move anywhere you want and continue to have your sovereignty, and build upon that. And now you're also building on the ledger, which is free. It's open to the world. There is no actual person in control of that. So that's, that goes hand in hand. And now, because I don't want to dive more into this, I know I want to keep it short. I want to know, tell me a little bit about you. Like, what motivates you personally?
My kids, I mean, like I said to you, like my background, when I was little, I always I don't know, I believed in humanity from as a very young age. And, traveling just taught me that there's good people and that everybody just wants to do good for their family. And I, through my education, and traveling, I mean, really, Zimbabwe opened my mind, opened my eyes, to like how quickly your currency can go from like 1 to 1 to, 100 million to 1. And I saw I saw how everything was stacked against the 99%,
Yeah.
and so for me, I've just been on this search for decades on how to empower the 99%, like I said before. And
So,
I mean, ultimately, for me, it was in realizing that, the only way the world changes is if you change yourself. And
yeah, yeah.
so I spent my whole, my all my 20s and my 30s sort of trying to navigate that part of me.
Men in the
Um,
mirror.
yeah, and recognizing, like I said, I believe people only change when they're inspired. And so trying to be the inspiration, and trying to find be like in my mind's eye, I said, I just want to when I'm on my deathbed, I want to be proud of the life I live, and I want to be able to say that I did everything I could to help free humanity.
Yeah, yeah.
And that to be at the end of it all, and try to use everything I could to help create different structures, infrastructure, and to empower the people. Because I believe it's not the people that's the problem, it's the environment. So how do you change the environment? And for the first time in history, we have this opportunity to play ball. Know the game, know the rules, win at the game, pawn to queen.
But in my eyes, it's like, how do you actually go up against the hand that is controlling it all? You can't. You can only change the people around you, and if enough people start to do that, then hopefully a lot of people, enough people, wake up to where they actually realize they need a change and they want to actually make the right steps to get to that. But anyways, let's move from a little bit of that. I want to know what is something happening behind the scenes in crypto right now that the public doesn't fully understand yet.
Oh goodness, all of it. No.
Oh, all of it.
um, the, the the public is not very aware of what's happening on the the rails. I think we're very clear about that. Okay, Jimmy, my kids all woke up while we were chatting.
Yeah, I
Um,
understand.
1 second, Jimmy, I'm talking.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So while she does. Oh, okay. I thought you need a couple of minutes.
No, I
Go
just I
ahead.
just asked him to be quiet. He's excited about toast. Um, sorry, can you ask the question again?
Well, nah, let's move on. I mean, you answered right from the start. It's about the rails, right? A lot of the people don't understand it. They don't know why it's happening, or they don't. Some of them, a lot of them, don't even know that it's happening, right? Exactly what XRPL is doing, and I think that's something that they don't understand. They don't fully understand yet. They're only going to know once is completely here. So with that, because you mentioned it already, you actually hit the nail on the head right away. What narrative in crypto do you believe is completely wrong, but everyone keeps repeating it?
Whoa, good tire. These are big questions. What
I
do I
know.
think
And
is
listen,
wrong?
I think you can handle them. That's why I'm asking you them.
um, you don't have to wait for other people. You can build something now. That there's a window here. And like I said, like each if I could, I mean, I made a TikTok a little while ago. Is like if I could pray for one thing that the people would realize that they are important and that if each person, I mean, imagine if 8 billion people came to the ledger,
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, we could change the world for sure. And, the fact that they're all so afraid, and they want, other people to sort of control things before they move over and they need clarity and all this stuff. This is how they've the deletes, I guess this is what I call them, have controlled things. And so for me, I just wish the people knew that each individual person is so important and their dreams are important and that there's an opportunity here to, while yes, you can, buy a token, um, I think building and creating ideas, just like what you're doing here, creating a place where people can share, what they're building, why they're building it, what their dreams are, and inspiring other people,
I'm
because
merely
we live.
here as an amplifier. I'm amplifying you guys, the builders. That's all I'm doing here. So thank you for the compliment, but I throw it right back at you because without you here today, this show would not be possible. So thank you, and right back at you.
Well, and that thank you so much. And I think this is the thing is that we've been a lot of people have been indoctrinated to think that capitalism is bad. It's not capitalism, it's crony capitalism. I was telling my little kids this yesterday. They're like, I wish there was no money. I'm like, it's not the money, it's the corruption, and that open markets allow for people to dream big and build, and having my background in international development, where it was like basically all the things you're seeing now, I was trained to participate in, and just seeing how this been this slow march into sort of the disempowering of the people and how important it is for the world in order to heal, for people to dream a little bit bigger.
Yeah,
If heaven on earth, if it all worked out in the end, there are very few people who have answered that question, for themselves.
yeah.
Where do you want to be if it all works out in the end?
Well, half
What?
of half of the people don't even know where they want to be in 5 years, let alone that.
Right.
One quick thing, right? If you could fix one thing about the crypto industry, what would it be?
Oh, goodness. Um, that if I could fix one thing
Just
about the
one thing.
crypto industry, I mean, obviously making it easier for people and like on ramps, off ramps,
Yes.
utilization. I mean, and clarity. Like I'm running into this issue right now where like I promised my communities that purchasing an NFT will get you airdrops, and it brought to my attention this week that I might run into some legal issues around that, which pretty much just freaked me out. And so I'm in a whole new discussion about what am I allowed to do, because like the old ways of control are still sort of there with a brand new technology.
So
And
so
so
get rid of the government oversight on crypto. Okay, I got it. Now, what is something you
well,
believe
just
about?
clarity.
Okay, sure, the clarity part. I mean, obviously you heard about the Trojan horse. I think regulation, in its short-minded, right? This is short-minded. Regulation is a Trojan horse in the early stages of crypto, and I know it's over a decade, but I think we're still so early, so super early, that what we're doing now, it's like having a flag in front of a car announcing to people that there's a car coming. I don't know if you understand that analogy from when the cars were first invented.
Well, you're just
So
like it's already there, and then they're like warning you that it's coming, but you can see it coming.
exactly. So
Um,
back in the days, right, when the car was first invented, they didn't allow cars in the street because it could harm people. It could, there wasn't enough regulation to kind of let that car go through. So what they decided was they were going to get a flagman to be in front of the car, warning people so they know and not to get hit, right? So while good intention were there, the actual regulation, it was actually affecting the way that the car was supposed to work. So I think it's the same thing that is going to, or is happening with crypto. There's a lot of things that they are putting in place that is actually hurting the industry, or the ecosystem, rather than helping it. Even though it might look like it's supposed to be a good thing, I don't think it is. You see what I'm saying?
for sure. I mean, for me, one of the things, the hopes that I have is that the governments and will be on blockchain transparently, where we can see where they're spending all their money.
That's not happening.
Like for for me, that's sort of the positive embrace of it all. Is this, while we have to be transparent, so do they.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I'm enthusiastic
So wait,
about
wait. I'm sorry.
transparency.
I'm gonna cut you off. I'm gonna sorry. You're saying the the part of transparency can go both way, right? So if we have to, they should too, or you're saying if we have to, they have to as well. Like, is both the same thing, or do you believe that us as the people have a right to privacy?
Yeah, well, I absolutely believe that we have a right to privacy, but and that the government. I mean, that's the way it was supposed to. I mean, your
Yeah, the
constitution
government is for the
essentially.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. And now it's like they know everything about us and we know nothing about them, which
Yep.
I don't agree with. But then at the same time, like I mean, this has been the dilemma since the beginning of building my project, is like when you're creating an ecosystem with people, how do you keep out the nefarious people? And when does a tool become, when does good intentions pave the way to bad situations? And so this has been like a moral dilemma in my own heart for 6 years. And I can see it, how it sort of ripples out, pun intended, into like sort of the wider sphere. Like, because I'm Canadian, because they froze bank accounts in Canada, if you donated to the truckers, it became very clear how nefarious things were structured. And I don't believe that they should be able to freeze your accounts. However, if you're involved in substantive evil towards the people, I do believe that you should be punished and limited.
Yeah.
And so, this
N-
moral dilemma of like, and I always go back to, it's not the tool, it's the tool wielder. And
Yeah.
so, what we live in an upside down world where, I hope that, in our lifetime, we will see a return of power to the people, and that it is the people that get to decide instead of this crony capitalism run by the 12 families and la la la. We won't get into that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's
but
what
the
no.
evil, the evil. So, because like I said, I'll go back to the beginning. I believe that humanity is good,
Yeah.
and we live in an upside down world, and
So
so, yeah.
I just gonna add something. I'm sorry. I know it's
Don't
opti, but
apologize.
so one thing that I have a little bit of a contradiction in my head, right? Because I've seen so many of this. If we're stopping bad actors before they actually become bad actors, is that the right thing to do, or do we actually have consequences for the bad actors? Which I think, in my eyes, it would be the right course of action. Because if you're essentially have a time machine that you can see the future, and you see that who's in here, Vegas is going to do something wrong in the future. Do you stop him now before he does anything? Is that actually something that you seem right, or should we wait for Vegas to do something to actually stop him? I don't know, the chicken and the egg scenario, maybe.
Oh no, I mean, I definitely think thought crimes are bad. Yeah, I think that you should not. Yeah, no, I think you definitely should not be punished for not doing a crime. And just like I'm dealing with right now, like my mind has all these great ideas, and I have these limitations that are set up to empower the giant corporations. I mean, that's literally why I built on XRP, because Ethereum, everybody kept like, no, you should build on Ethereum. Oh, I was like, and I have to have a lot more money than I do. And I have to, like they were trying to encourage me to fundraise money to put in the liquidity pool. And I was just like, man, this doesn't seem right. Like, I don't want to promise people anything. I just want to build an infrastructure to empower the people. And so, yeah, I absolutely do not believe that we should limit creativity. I think we should, encourage creativity. I mean, you can't fix what's broken with the same mentality and framework that things were broken from. And I think that this is what is really an issue with the humanity. They're trying to get the people that have broken the system to fix it, which is absolutely ridiculous. And
How do
so
we know that they didn't broke it on purpose to begin with?
they did break it on purpose to begin with, to empower themselves. Exactly that. And so, that's where the argument about the lack of regulation is positive. Because for the past 6 years, I've been able to do the thing I have been able to do. I mean, it took me stepping away from my fears of getting it wrong. But it's been very wonderful to even have this little tiny window of opportunity to dream big, you know? And so few people get the opportunity to dream big. And so I'm very thankful in a way for the lack of clarity.
Yeah, one hundred
um,
percent agree.
because I've been able to do things that the average person, like in 10 years, I don't know if people will be able to do what I've done.
Yeah.
And I kept saying, like, it's like Moses parted the sea. And, for those with eyes to see, and courage in their hearts, you get to walk across the bridge right now.
Hmm.
And hopefully, when the flood comes back and the liquidity comes in, there's enough good people on the other side
Well
wanting to
positioned.
build humanitarian projects and empower the rest of the people. And like that's really what the Wandering Footprint's about, is how do I empower the people who can't see, because there
Yeah.
there are very few with the eyes to see right now.
Hey, Opti, we're definitely crunching the time. I want to give you a chance to do any closing thoughts, remarks. I also want to give a chance to anybody in the listener. I mean, in the listeners, yeah. Request a mic if you want to ask a question. We're about to close the show. I'm going to give Apsi some time so she can do some closing statement. And Apsi, please include how people can actually support your cause, support your project. So please, remember this is going to be a recorder space. I mean, it is a recorder space that we can share with others, and so you're going to be speaking to them directly as well.
Yeah, well, I just want to thank you for this time. Thanks for changing it to 8. Sorry, I ran into some dilemmas around other things. But I had planned on 6 a.m. For weeks. So when you wrote me yesterday, I could do 8. I was like, oh, thank God, Sunday morning, 8 o'clock is a lot easier for me. So Appreciate you so much. Thank you for all that you do. Um, it was an honor for me to be able to be given permission to include the Xmojis book in my NFT collection to commemorate you on the XRPL and all the not all. Sadly, I ran out of time. I wasn't able to really showcase everybody that I support. Um, but like I truly believe this is the wave of the future is, like some people say, all boats rise together. It's the encouragement and empowerment of other people. And, it's taken me 6 years to really understand that real community is the most important thing. Like that's the commodity here, is, finding the people you can trust and building with them, creating opportunities together, and figuring out who to trust and not just pursuing the money. If there's anything I've learned in my life is that any course of action that's directed towards trying to make more money or pursuing the money, it never really works out. It's only through, the feeling that you're searching for. And for me, it's the magical internet, friends. I find it very ironic that in the end of the day, I had to lose the app to find the people. And how you can support me, you can go to wanderingfootprint.org. You can see the incredible, it's expansive, this dream of mine and all the things I'm working on. It doesn't even cover everything. But the Wandering Home Directory will be launched this year. Again, Wandering Home Directory 3.0. So you can put your email into the wanderingfootprint.org and be put on a list for beta testing for that. You can become a nomad, a 2026 nomad, and get a commemorative NFT. And then I have tokens and stuff, but this is not a shill space. So check out the website and be part of co-creating heaven on earth.
Well, it's not a shield space. This was explicitly asked of you so people can actually support you. So I will show one more thing you missed out. The other way to support Opti is actually going to xrp.cafe and searching for the Remember the 5th of November collection. It is still minting so far. It is only at 2 XRP. I think it should be a lot more than this, but I understand why you did it. And I hope that eventually this mints out and you have the right amount of people holding those blue umbrella, because it's only those that have eyes to see that will be able to see the value in this. So thank you.
Yeah, you can stand under my blue umbrella. Yeah, and that's the one that you're featured in. And yeah, I dropped it down to 2 for our 2-year anniversary. So the blue umbrella token's been around since um, February 29th, 2024. So I dropped it down till the 17th, and then I'll go back up again. And yeah, and then we have the blue umbrella token. It's our meme token. It's like the flag waving this blue umbrella, letting people know that there's a whole humanitarian project behind it. And yeah, and then just come to spaces. I'm part of Digital Ladies on Monday nights with Melissa, Kita, and Lady K. I have the Woo Woo Book Club on Tuesday nights. I'm part of Coffee and Crypto with Stone and Lady K Monday to Friday at 6
Sometimes
a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So yeah, I'm around. Check out the Dipito Show on Wednesdays. And yeah, you support my community, you're supporting me too.
I love it. I love it. Hey, I brought up Matt. He's not following anybody in here yet. I wanted to see what he had to say. You have a question for Opti, Matt? You have a comment you want to make?
Yeah.
Welcome to KYD.
Hey, thank you. Yeah, so I'm a fan of XRP, but they have this new XDNA protocol that came online, and I'm concerned with how it shifts a decentralized ledger, which has the potential to be distributed powers in it, and it's starting to make it more centralized in how it operates. Oh, we'll just hash your DNA right on chain. We'll always know it's you. Well, that sounds great and all, and maybe people are like, well, this is going to deter criminals, but like we have law enforcement for criminals, and then we have draconian oversight in our cloud data because they know our identity, they get all our keys. Like I want to
Hey,
move
Matt.
away from them controlling us. Do you think XRPL XDNA can
Hey,
be useful or not useful in that?
well, Matt, I tell you what, I would love to answer your question. The only thing is, today's show is for Opti to showcase what she's doing. We do have a space every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. EST. You can follow Opti, myself, or Stone. There's a lot of people in our community that can actually answer your question. But today, right now, it's not the time. So please do follow some of us and go ahead and show up to the Monday space, which is the closest one. Actually, Ryan's Corn has a space as well. I don't see, you see here. No, Ryan has a space. So you can click on my profile, check out my pin post, and you'll see a bunch of different spaces that are specifically for XRPL. And then you can get your question answered. So thank you very much for actually stopping by today. Opti, so were you also anybody else that had a question for Opti down there? You can come up. If not, we basically want to close out the space. I want to say, to everyone that is listening, spaces like this are important because crypto is not just about the actual tokens or the chart. It's about the people that are building in the future or for the future. And when we take the time to actually understand what builders are actually going through, their journey, their mindset, their vision, then we can build a stronger ecosystem. So shout out to you, Amanda, Optimistic Prime, for coming up here and sharing your story with us today. If you enjoyed this conversation, make sure you follow the guests, follow any of the speakers in the stage, and most importantly, follow the space for future episodes of KYD. Know your dev, because every Sunday we bring you the people who actually building in Web3. Thank you all for spending your money with me. Stay safe, stay curious, and always, always, always keep building. We appreciate your time.
Yeah. Know your dove, let it breathe for a minute. Know your dove, let it breathe for a minute. Yeah, yeah. Know your dev, know the code, know the mind. No shortcuts here, just blood and time. From the spark to the ship, from the dark to the shine. Know your dev, yeah, we building in lines. Yeah. Know your dev, know the hands that create. Yeah. Not the hype, not the noise, just the weight. Yeah. If it runs tomorrow, it was built last night. Know your dev, yeah, we earned this right. Yeah. Late nights, empty rooms, screens glow blue. Pressure on the clock, but the vision stay true. From ideas on paper to systems that scale. Every failure a lesson, every win leave a trail. Yeah. They don't see the hours when the chat go quiet, when the doubt get loud, but the focus stay right. We don't copy waves, we design a tide. Every block locked in with the future inside. Know your dev, know the code, know the grind. Every scar on the bill tell a story in time. From the first commit to the final deploy. Know your dev, yeah, we build not noise. No suits in the room, just makers and why. Turning risk into structure, stress into fire. Open minds, open ledgers, truth in the work. If the system stand tall, you know who did the dirt. This ain't overnight, this is years in the cut. Trust earned slow, never forced, never rushed. When the lights come on and the product go live, that's a piece of the builder still coded inside. Not a headline, not a trend. This is humans who build what the future depends. If it runs, if it scales, if it stands the test. Put respect on the dev, yeah, remember the rest. Know your
Thanks
dev,
for
know the
having
cause, know
me.
the flame. Same legend, same mission, different name. Fade to black, but the work still low. Next